Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I'm very glad to have y'all here today. And today we are going to talk again about the Lord's calendar, because I know there's still quite a few people out there who aren't understanding the difference between God's calendar that's written in the Bible and the Jewish Perpetual calendar that we see today. So I'm going to go over it again very quickly here so that it's very clear for everybody to understand simply. Nisan is the first month on the Jewish calendar. Before the Jews left Egypt on the first day of the month of Nisan, God told Moses and Aaron, "This new moon shall be to you the head of months." So the Lord made it very clear to the Israelites that any time they saw the new moon, this would mark the very beginning of a new month. Towards the beginning of the moon's cycle, it appears as a thin crescent. That is the signal for a new month. The month grows until it's full, the middle of the month, and then it begins to wane until it cannot be seen. It remains invisible for approximately 2 days, and then the thin crescent reappears and the cycle begins again. The entire cycle takes approximately 29 and a half days. In Deuteronomy 16 through 19, we see where the Lord commanded the Jews. He said, "Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover until the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto the Lord thy God, of the flock and the herd, in the place which the Lord shall choose to place his name there." Abib means fresh young ears. So we know that the barley had to still be green whenever the offering was made and whenever it was ready for the wave offering to the Lord. And we can see this again in Leviticus 2:14, where it says, "If you offer a grain offering of your first fruits to the Lord, you shall offer for the grain offering of your first fruits green heads of grain roasted on the fire, grain beaten from full heads. And you should put oil on it and lay frankincense in it. It is a grain offering. Then the priest shall burn the memorial portion, part of its beaten grain and part of its oil, with all the frankincense, as an offering made by fire to the Lord." And in Exodus 12 we see, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be your beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you." When the Sanhedrin presided in Jerusalem, there was no set calendar. They would evaluate every year to determine whether it should be declared a leap year. When two rabbis agreed that they saw the first sliver of a new moon, they announced a new month had started. Then they checked the garden that they kept near the Mount of Olives to see if the harvest was just beginning to slightly turn white. When the two coincided, they could announce that Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits could begin. If the harvest was not ready, it was postponed for another month, and another month was added to the calendar after many years of Roman occupation. In 66 AD to 70 AD, the Jews revolted and the Romans destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. In 132 AD, the remaining population of Judea revolted. But again, the overwhelming might of Rome was brought to bear. Bar Kochba and his troops were destroyed, and the remaining population of Judea was deported. With this defeat, hopes for an immediate restoration of the temple were set back indefinitely. And during this time, the Sanhedrin set up the perpetual calendar that we see that the Jews use today. And the Jews understand and know that the calendar is not precise. It is not following God's calendar. But what they are waiting on is their belief is that the Messiah will return and he will perfect their calendar. And this is why they have not gone back to using God's appointed correct calendar, even though they know that theirs is off because they are not following the new moon and his commands precisely. The Sanhedrin set up the fixed perpetual calendar because they knew that Jews were going to be displaced all over the earth, and they would not all be able to see when the new moon was spotted in Israel. So very simply put, when we see the new moon in March, that is the first of Nisan. And that month, of course, can spill over into April and normally does. Every year, this is when the barley is green and is ready to be made as an offering. So very, very simply put, you look for every new moon after this, and you will know what month you are in without fail. So we know that the new moon was spotted in Israel on March 12th, which was of course March 11th for us. Now I've heard some people try and say that in April on the 8th, whenever we saw the eclipse, that this was Passover. And we know that's not possible because April 8th was exactly 3 days before the new moon, which of course the new moon would have been the first of Iyar. Also, Passover being on the 15th of Nisan is during the full moon. So as you can see, this was very, very easy to disprove. Now, I also see a lot of people wanting to try and use the constellations to line up the month, and I'm going to show you quite a few things on that so it's easy for everyone to understand as well. Now, it hasn't been until recent times that people started adding the months of the year around the pictures of the Mazzaroth that we often see. And there's many, many reasons why this shouldn't be done. But in this video, we're just going to go over 3 of the really big reasons why we don't correlate the months of the year to the Mazzaroth. Alright, well, when first looking at the constellations, we can see the sun in Leo, and as we watch it goes, starting around the 13th, if we really, really pushed it, we could possibly make the case that it does make it for a month, even though it's already pretty much in the head of Virgo by the 13th. Or you could make a case that it made it for the full 30 days. Okay, now look at what happens when it goes into a constellation that's a lot bigger, like Virgo. Now, as you can see, it's taking a lot longer for the sun to make its way through this constellation. In fact, well over a month. About 45 days. Actually, even a little bit more than that. Now look, and here's another example. Once it's moved into Libra, we're going to see, Libra is small, and it's not going to take very long for it to get through there at all. In fact, it's really not going to get more than about 3 weeks. It doesn't even take it anywhere really near a month to get through there. So you're starting to see the constellations are all different sizes, and the sun makes their way through them at different rates. And again with Capricorn, you can see it only takes it about 2.5 weeks, maybe possibly 3, to get through Capricorn before it's already in Aquarius. Some of the constellations have a good amount of space between each other, while others are just right next to each other. So it is immediately from one right into another. And of course you can see for yourself how small Aries is, and then it's right next to Taurus, which is a considerable amount bigger. And yes, the sun and the moon, they are for signs and seasons, but they are not for telling us the individual month, and they never have been. And this is just one reason. Now I'm going to show you another. Now I have shown this in one of my other videos, but for everybody who's new to my channel, I'm going to show it again very quickly so that you too will see it. Now here I started with August 30th, the year 2023, and this is showing the sun, which you can see is in Leo, and I'm going to take it all to the year 31, the year that Jesus was crucified. August 30th, all the way back, and I want you to see how much the sun has shifted over the course of the last 2,000 years. And this is just the last 2,000 years. And again, I'm sorry, but the way Stellarium works, it starts to shift off the page, so I have to bring it back very quickly so that it stays in the center of the page. As you can clearly see, the sun has moved right here from Leo to Virgo, an entire constellation over. As well as, remember, Virgo is a lot bigger than the rest of the constellations on top of it. So you can clearly see, again, when we read about festivals or times in the Bible, when the sun was in Aries, or it was in any constellation, we can't equate that to where the sun is today in our time 2,000 years later. So again, in the year 2931, you can see the sun was right in the middle of Virgo, whereas now here in 2024 on August 30th, the sun is right in the middle of Leo. And the third biggest and most important reason that we don't do this, we don't correlate what month it is by where the sun is in what constellation, is because our Lord, our Father, He never told us to. The Bible tells us very clearly, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. We were given the Bible for a reason. It is the very word, the very breath of our Father, and we should turn to it for truth in all things. So again, looking at the calendar in March, on the 12th in Israel, the new moon was spotted. That means that on March 26th, this was the day before Passover. This was preparation day, and as soon as it turned dark, that was officially Passover. So then we know as well that March 31st, this was the Sunday where they brought the sheaf offering, the offering of the barley, and this started the counting of the Omer, the 7 weeks or 50 days. So we count week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, and week 7. And that brings us to Pentecost,
Shavuot,
being on the 19th in Israel. In ancient Judah, during the Iron Age, I have also shown in another one of my videos, we know that they used the 30-day month and 360-day year-long calendar. Material evidence for the 360-day year in Judah comes forth from a series of small perforated bone plaques from various sites in the Iron Age Judah. And they weren't the only ones. We've seen this with the Mesopotamians and the Babylonians. And we also know that it wasn't very long after the fall of the Babylonian Empire that this changed. And we also know that the Lord is going to be taking the entire earth back to the same 30-day, 360-day a year calendar. Because of in tribulation, if we take the 1,260 and the 1,260, that brings us to 2,520. Then, of course, if we divide that by 7, we get exactly 360. Now, as you can see, everything that I'm showing is not something that I can simply just post in the comments to somebody whenever they ask me about the calendar and the perpetual calendar and how the Lord's calendar works. I spent a long time working on these videos. And if anybody wants to understand the Jewish Perpetual calendar and how it works and why it doesn't line up with God's calendar, please go watch this video that I'm showing you right here. This has a great amount of detail, and I spent about 12 hours on this video, and it shows in great detail the calendar that the Jews are using right now. And please understand, I'm not trying to be rude when I ask somebody to please go watch one of the videos that I've already created that covers all of this, because as you can see, this takes me a lot of work, and I don't understand why somebody would be rude and nasty in the comments or roll their eyes when I simply try and refer them to a video that has all this information already on it. I'm trying to be very kind, and I'm doing another video when I've already covered this in a couple of other videos. But I don't know, maybe in my other videos I wasn't completely clear. So again, I'm trying to be crystal clear so that everybody understands the Lord's calendar and how important it is. Because it's only His calendar that He goes by. His is the only calendar that matters. Now, the Jewish calendar isn't horribly very far off. Now, for, of course, Pentecost, they were a little bit further off because they had just added the extra month. This was a year where they call it a pregnant year, where they had to add the extra month to, of course, keep Passover in spring. But the people who are going off the perpetual calendar, the watchmen we see, and then going a month further, are so far off, it's not even funny. They're not anywhere close. And the reason they are doing this, the main reason they're doing this, is because they're trying to align where the sun is in which constellation and judging it from things from almost 2,000 years ago that they read about in the Bible. And that is why they are so far off. And of course, you can all clearly see for yourselves now how much the sun has shifted in which constellation it's in. And there's a good reason for this, and it's exactly for what the Lord is going to be doing at the end of tribulation when Jesus returns to take His crown. I hope this video has blessed you and made your day more bright and given you a more clear and concise understanding of how the Lord's calendar works. It is so important that we understand it. And my next video is going to be mind-boggling. The Lord has shown me some of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. and I cannot wait to share it all with you. So you do not want to miss my next video. It's going to blow your mind. Thank you for being here with me again, my brothers and sisters. I love you all very, very much. Please subscribe, please like, and as always, please share this video so it can get out to others as well. And I cannot wait to get this next video done. Y'all, please, if you can, take a moment to pray for me, because there's a lot I have to show you. It is a ton, and y'all are going to be so excited and so happy. I've been praying and studying the Bible, and the Lord has shown me so many amazing things. And I just pray that I can deliver it to y'all in the way that it needs to be delivered to each and every one of you, because it's simply that amazing. I will see you all very, very soon in the next video.